So I was thinking, sorry about that, I had to get all set up. Hello there, everyone. I'm Julie Turner, julieturner.ca, and I'm really excited to come and talk to you guys today. Like, so excited that I don't really have like a significant plan, but I have lots to say. Those of you that know me know I'm always just a little bit excited. I can get like super happy over a piece of gum, especially if it's my favorite gum, which just, by the way, is Dentine Fire from cinnamon gum. So if you want to ever buy me gum, that's what you need to buy me. Totally off topic. Anyways, so I was talking to a good friend of mine this morning, and it just turns out that her and I have been kind of living parallel lives, and we haven't spoken to each other in a couple months. So it was really fascinating to kind of hear what's been going on in her life. And I'm like, that's not possible. And I have to tell you that happens on a somewhat regular basis to me. Friends, people that matter to me, I haven't spoken to them in a while, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, how are we having the same life even though we aren't talking? Seems so odd. So anyways, one of the things that we were talking about is relationships in general. And she's just moved literally to a new state. And I'm in the process of deciding, do I stay where I am? Do I leave? I don't know. What's best for me? And I'm just trying to figure that out. So that's one of the things that we're going through at the same time. But one of the things that we were talking about is our past relationship, our most recent relationship, and how we knew at the beginning that it wasn't the right thing. We knew, but there's many extenuating circumstances and they're different for her than they were for me. But at the end of the day, it was, you miss red flags. You miss things, and sometimes you have outside influences, like people that know and love you, and that's totally fine, and I'm not trying to blame anybody, but they're like, oh, maybe you're overthinking that, and that's not a big deal, and blah blah blah. So what it started making me think about, and we discussed it a little bit, but then I'm like, I gotta go do a video, was what about the things, like, instead of why not move forward, which when you're like, oh, I don't know, I didn't like this, or this didn't feel comfortable or whatever, and everyone out there, they want you to be happy, ideally, most people, and they're like, oh, you're overthinking that or whatever. How about instead of why not move forward, why move forward? I'm going to give you a moment to think about that. Instead of worrying about why not to move forward, think about why you should move forward. So when I work with clients, I always get them to make a list of what it is that would make them happy, or they perceive would make them happy, what they're kind of looking for in life, their goal. And this is work, friendship, relationship of any sort, where they live, all that kind of stuff. Like what makes you happy? What is it that you're looking for? And I, for one, have a really, really simple list. So instead of looking at and paying attention to the things that are maybe making you a little bit uncomfortable, that's important, don't get me wrong. But how about, are the things that are important to you there? Are the things that are important to you actually in this work, in this home, in this relationship, are they there? What's important to you? And are you actually going towards things that support that? That is something that's really, really important. So she actually shared with me something. It was a sheet. I haven't read it yet. I will maybe at some point. But it was green flags. And I thought that was a really interesting way to look at it. Instead of worrying about the red flags that may or may not be showing up, that you may or may not miss at first, how about look for the green flags? And I just loved that idea, but I wanted to kind of simplify it even more down to, what is it that you need in your life, and does it exist in the situation that you are moving forward to? I just love that. And most of the time I keep that kind of, I'm aware of that, but oh my goodness, like I can't tell you, there's some things that are really, and again, super simple. I love to be outside as much as possible. I like walking wherever just as I'm saying this, I'm realizing how far out of integrity I allowed myself to be in this last situation. It's just insane. And even like from the place where I live, like I lived in a place with beautiful floor to ceiling windows that I had a view of the ocean and Mount Baker. And I got up every morning, and appreciated that. Loved it. Now, don't get me wrong. What I look outside my window and see is beautiful. It's nature, it's trees. And I would rather have trees than the ocean any day. That's just who I am. However, the windows are fairly small and I have to go to a window to look. In my last place, it surrounded me. Nature surrounded me, even though I was up in the sky. And I didn't connect the two, that I'm going somewhere that's not going to be as beneficial to my well-being. But I went, okay, like, why not go, right? Why not go? Instead of thinking, okay, this is why I need to stay. I'm not sure if I'm making this clear, because I'm literally, as I'm saying this, realizing, like I'm feeling this drain throughout my body of realization of, holy crap. What were you thinking? Yeah, it's fascinating. And again, I'm not here to blame anybody. I'm not suggesting that anybody else is at fault. But please, for the love of God, when your friend says, I don't know, it's making me uncomfortable, don't you dare open up your mouth and negate that for your friend. Don't do it. It is not your responsibility. As a matter of fact, just listen and say, okay, well, is there a way that you could make that better? Like, is this something that is going to like hurt you in the future, whether that's emotionally, sometimes physically, whatever the case may be. Okay, let's get back to me, because I'm apparently running myself through my own therapy session here. Remember how I said I like to walk everywhere that I go? My last location, I literally didn't get in my vehicle unless I needed to leave the town that I lived in. That's the only time I got in my vehicle. The town I'm living in now is beautiful. Anybody would love to live here, and at the very least love to visit. This is not about whether this place is negative or positive. It is an absolutely beautiful, positive place. But I cannot buy a freaking apple without getting in my car. Does that make sense for the person that likes to walk everywhere? Probably not. So what are you giving up? Are you giving up things that it's like, oh, well, I really prefer to have this in my life, but it's okay to not have it? Or are you giving up things that make you feel like you've got control of your life? Control is a bad word because none of us have any control. God, I barely can control what comes out of my mouth. Thinking I have control of my life. Hilarious. What are you giving up to move forward into this work, into this relationship, into this friendship? When I say relationship, I mean romantic. I should probably clarify. What are you giving up? And is there reasons to move forward that are bigger than the reasons to not? So, I would, I have offered this in the last couple of videos that I've done. If you're watching right now and you have a question, you can certainly just like messenger me through Facebook. That's great. If you actually want to join me on this live, you are welcome to do so anytime. I can see you. I can see if you go to talkwithjulie.ca, super simple, talkwithjulie.ca, always the same code. I can see you when you pop into the room, and I can let you in if you're not somebody that I don't want to let in, because there's a few people I probably wouldn't let in. I'm just saying, truly, to be honest. So if anybody wants to join me, please do so. But I would like to do a card for everybody. I would like, not individually. I'd like to do a card. I'd actually like to do a reading, a moving forward reading. What we need to bear in mind moving forward. But before I do that, I would really, really love for you guys to think, to make a list of what makes you feel amazing. And when I am moving, that makes me feel amazing. When I'm outdoors, amazing. When I'm supporting people, when I'm, here, my little saying that I've shared many times, other than the fact that I'm not here to change who you are, I'm here to help you let go of who you're not, because we all have these little labels that we love to buy into, and they're not actually who we are. But the other piece is I'm here to listen without judgment and support without agenda. Listen without judgment and support without agenda. I love just being a safe place for people to come and say whatever they need to say. And there's definitely times that I'm surprised. I'm like, haven't actually heard that before, haven't experienced that before. But I don't judge them. I'm just like, that's okay. Thank you for sharing that. And I truly mean, thank you for sharing that. I don't have an agenda for your life. I want you to have an agenda for your life. Which brings me back to, what the heck do you want? That in the simplest of forms, and I don't mean I want to have this much money and I want to live in this place. What are you, like, dumb it down. Dumb it down. If you had to do something that you enjoyed right here and now, and you had no money and no tools to do so, for me, I'd go outside. I would just go outside. That's all I would do. I would go outside with a smile on my face. It's raining right now, again, but that's okay, because after I'm done video, I don't give a crap about my hair, so I don't care if it rains or not. For those of you that know me well, know I'm not going outside until after the videos are done, because I can't have like that look, that drowned rat look. That's crazy. But after, I will just go outside. That makes me happy. How simple can that be? What more do you need? And there are a few things that help me feel happier. So build on that. But don't get too in depth and try, it's not my responsibility to tell you what you should want and what you shouldn't, but try and stay away for this, just this basic list. Stay away from the material things. Just think about the things that are super simple, that the world provides for you no matter what, no matter where you are, no matter who you are. Just try and stick to that list. And if that list doesn't exist in whatever it is that you're doing, it might be time to reevaluate what you're doing. And sometimes that can feel really overwhelming, and we don't want to dig that deep, because we're like, it's really inconvenient. It's inconvenient to change my life. Well, it's a lot more inconvenient to waste your life doing things that you shouldn't be doing. So let's get inconvenient right here and now, instead of like blinders on, staying in the discomfort so that you can be really inconvenienced later. All right, I'm going to read some comments because I see that there are some here. I think they're from my lovely friend, Monica. What do we got here? Pazinga. Green flags. Yes, I love the green flags. And I do love cries of outrage. Anybody that knows me knows I love cries of outrage. I'm not here I want peace in my heart and in my soul, but, and I do have that most of the time. I kind of slip every once in a while. But I'm here to be challenged. Please challenge me. I want to learn. I crave more knowledge and learning. So challenge me. Absolutely. Here and now, in private, whatever makes you happy, feel free to challenge. I'm going to grab my cards. They're on the floor over there because I'm like a little child and I sit on the floor and play with my cards. I'm just going to go get them so we can do a tarot card. All right. Okie dokie. Coming back. I make my own life so freaking difficult. I've got my chair as high as possible, which I'm not very big, so it's actually kind of difficult to get into. And I have a wobble seat on it so that I can't actually sit still, because again, I do like to make a challenge. I love a challenge. So that's what I do to myself on a constant basis. All right, so I'm going to do what we need to keep in mind moving forward. And I'm going to actually do love, career in general. Okay, so this one's love. What do we need to keep in mind moving forward when it comes to love? What do we need to keep in mind moving forward? This is for the collective. I'm not doing any individual ones. If you want an individual reading, I'm happy to do that, but you have to book it. Okay. Really needing to challenge myself apparently today. Hop up on my little perch. Okay. All right. We have got crossed my legs, have zero balance on this wobble thingy. All right. We got the 9 of emotions. 9 of emotions. So in love, what we need to keep in mind is that it's all around us. See, she's like in a very peaceful state. She's floating. She has all these huge, beautiful jewels all around her. And I said love with the intent of romantic love and relationship. But what this is saying to me really, really loudly is that love is all around you. Love is all around us no matter what. There's something called the Sedona Method, and I cannot remember the name of the developer of the Sedona Method, but he developed it. He was dying, actually, and he knew that he had months to live, or he was told that he had months to live. And from what I remember of the story, he kind of felt sorry for himself. He was sitting there going, like, I have never had true love in my life. I've never felt true love. And how fair is that? Like, why it's so unjust that I've never felt this true love. And then it was almost like he got like a spiritual tap on the shoulder, like, hey, buddy, you actually have love all around you. Just because you don't let it in so you can feel it does not mean it's not all around you. And I feel like that's what this card is telling us today. That whether you are in a relationship or whether you are not, love is all around you and you just have to allow it. You just have to open that door and feel it. I know often I feel lonely. That's kind of like, and we've talked about this before, that's kind of my inner voice is like, I'm alone. How lonely is that? Whatever. But we just have to open the door. There's a ton of not only actual physical people out there waiting to share love with you. Love is free to give. And a lot of people understand that. But we have this perception that we need that specific love from that specific person, or we're not fulfilled. And that is BS, people. That is BS. That is codependency. That is ego. That's all kinds of things that you don't want to be caught up in, but it's fair. We're caught up in it. We're humans. It's okay. We make mistakes. But just knowing that just because you aren't getting love from that specific space that you want it from, or it doesn't look exactly as you want it to look, does not mean that you don't have love. You just have to reevaluate your perception on what's going on around you. So, guy who invented Sedona Method, he actually could think of multiple people that loved him in his life and would have him like as a partner anytime, but he had always kind of closed that door because that person wasn't exactly what he was looking for. And it's like, oh, I kind of shut that off, didn't I? So it's all around us. Look at her. She's like surrounded by amazing, like really opportunity, jewels, delightful things. All right. Yes, I think maybe that might be who it is. That's that's a name that's very familiar to me, but I read a lot of different methods and things. So thank you for putting that in there. So that is our love reading. Just have to open the door. I'm actually going to stick that card. No, I'm not. I was going to stick it back in the deck because we're going to talk about career. What do we need to know moving forward in career? Some people have a career that they love, and this is a reminder for them. And some people are looking for a career. Some people are in a career that they don't want to be in. So what do we need to know moving forward in career? One more. All right. Well, that's interesting. What do we need to know moving forward in career? This is the Ace of Materials. So that is new beginnings. Anytime you get an ace, it's all about new beginnings. Materials is about your tangible things. So I'm getting like really, really loudly that it's new beginnings in the way that you receive income, but it's some of it is perspective. There's something like at the back of, it's like almost at the back of my throat that I'm not quite connecting with, that is, I need to figure out how to say. I'm not sure what exactly it means, but just recently I feel like I talked about this with somebody and I can't quite verbalize it. So I'm going to just continue and maybe it'll just pop out. That's sometimes what happens. So ACEs, all about new beginnings on how you're going to actually create income or receive income. And that doesn't necessarily mean that anything outside of you is going to change. It's more of a perspective thing that's going to change. Interesting. Oh, that's interesting. So for those of you that maybe don't feel fulfilled in your career, this is something that Esther Perel talks about, and I just love it. She talks about it when it comes to career, when it comes to relationship, and just how we have changed our expectations of these situations over the last few decades. So in career, our careers used to be something that we went to make money so that we could afford our lives, so we could pay for our houses, so we could go on holidays, so we could enjoy time with our families. And now so many of us, not all of us, but I'm arguably one of these people that has turned my career into my fulfillment, into my not only my career, but also my social life, my spiritual life. Like my career is all encompassing. What I do is all encompassing. And what she says is that's not a bad thing necessarily. It just is what it is. Surrender, right? Not saying what's good or bad. It's saying that this is how the world has changed. But the world isn't really set up, like the systems aren't really set up for that. So we've got a little bit of confusion around that. And maybe that's what this card is about, is whether you want to adopt the way that things have become, the new way that things have become, and actually have your career be fulfillment. That's up to you. You decide that. But know that's what you're deciding. You don't have to decide that. You can go to work 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 or whatever you want to do. You can go and then leave and have your fulfillment. It's up to you. That's kind of the old way of looking at career. The newer way of looking at career is that it will be, you're here for a purpose and it'll be all fulfilling and it'll be wonderful. And I know I'm saying that like it's sarcastic. It's totally the way that I'm living my life. So I'm not meaning to be sarcastic, but it's quite funny when you say it out loud, isn't it? Like, instead of like getting married and falling in love and having children and having like this wonderful community around you, it's like, I need my fulfillment out of going to work every day. Like, how ludicrous is that? It's kind of crazy. But I'm not saying I'm going to change it. I'm saying that I kind of have to marry what I'm actually doing and what my beliefs are. Something's got to give, right? So, wow, that was a whole lot of crazy for career. But I believe it's important. General. What do we need to pay attention to or focus on in general? This is fun. Is everybody else having fun? I'm having fun. I'm getting a phone call. All right. In general, what do we need to think about? Trying not to be distracted by my phone ringing. It's my neighbor. She's delightful. Obviously not paying attention to Facebook right now, because if she was, she'd be on my live. All right. In general, what do we need to focus on? What do we need to remember to move forward? Sorry, I didn't mean to be silent there. All right. In general, the three of materials. If you can see at the bottom, we've got 3 people's heads kind of piled on top of each other. And you've got like this, what looks like kind of a tree of growth. It's kind of a funky looking tree, kind of a Art Deco tree, I suppose, with roses coming out of it. But whenever I see this, and it's, what is it? The 3 of materials. It reminds me that we are not an island. It reminds me that there's lots of people in the world. I love saying this, and those of you that have seen me a lot are like, really, she's going to say this again? Those of you that have not seen me a lot, you're like, oh, that's delightful. There are 7,800,000,000 people in this world. And the notion that we need to sit and solve all of our own problems and figure everything out by ourselves and go into our little caves inside and figure crap out, again, ludicrous. Why do you think there's so many people on the earth? It's because we need people. People need people. That's why there's so many people on the earth. That and the fact that, I'm not going to go down that road. I'm not going to go down the road that there's probably too many people on our earth. That's just for another conversation for another day, and I don't always holistically believe that. In general, overall, we don't need to do this alone. We are not meant to be islands and do everything alone. So that is the last thing I will say on that. What else? New beginnings, maybe in the way we look at our career. Yes, I think I already addressed that. I should have read that before, but it's very distracting to read the comments as I'm continuing my rants. My rants are very important to get out because I might, change rants and start ranting about something else, and then we'd all be lost now, wouldn't we? All right. So before I run away, I want to remind you to go look at julieturner.ca. I am super happy to answer any questions that you have either through Facebook here or on julieturner.ca. You can reach out to me in any way, shape, or form. Like every connection that you could possibly need to me is on that website. So thank you guys so much for letting me blah, blah, blah and rant away. Nice chin for you. Okay, thank you. I'm at least I have one, right? That's kind of a good sign. It's an interesting comment. I would love you to expand on that comment because that's fascinating to me. And such an interesting compliment. I actually don't believe I've had that compliment before. So thank you for that. New is always fun. All right, guys, if you have any questions, concerns, cries of outrage, I will be here for about another, 10 seconds to allow you to put them in the comments. And then I'm going to run away and call my neighbor back is probably the next thing I will do. And then I have work to get back to. So thank you so much for your time, your patience, as always. And in moving forward in your life, whether it is to move into a new career, or move into a new relationship, whether that be friendship or romantic relationship, look for the reasons to move forward. Look for the reasons that feel good to you, that you could move forward, instead of trying to deduce if there's red flags. Because it's just easier to look at that perspective. My opinion. All right. Thanks so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. I never remember how to shut this off. Bye for now.